Hey, what's up everybody? It's Brian Dean from QuickSprout, and in this video I'm going to teach you how to build relationships on the web that you can later leverage for link building. And your first step is to identify influencers in your niche, because if you can get an influencer to link to you or to recommend you, it can have a cascading effect where several other people will link to you based on that association. And in my opinion, the best way to do that is to use a feature called follower wonk that Moz has. So just go to followerwonk.com or Google follower wonk and it's the first result. Once you're on the page here, click on search Twitter bios. And what we're doing here is finding the biggest influencers based on Twitter in your niche. And follower wonk is a little bit more sophisticated than just looking at Twitter followers, because they look at the people who are following people. So for example, someone like Justin Bieber has a lot of followers, but they're usually, like 14-year-old girls, as opposed to someone like Obama who has senators and world leaders following him. So anyway, if you were to go to the search Twitter bios tab, then you put in a keyword in your niche. So let's just use SEO and click on the do it button. And that'll show you by default the number of followers. But obviously, like I said, that's not always an accurate metric for who is the most authoritative person in your niche, although usually it's correlated. So what I like to do is click on this social authority tab here, and that sorts by Twitter profiles with the most social authority. As you can see, Rand Fishkin is number 2, as you might expect. eConsultancy, Scott Levy, Search Engine Land, Danny Sullivan. These are like the big names in the niche. So these are people that you would want to reach out to. Next, you can also look at Alltop. Okay, now Alltop, as I discussed in an earlier video, is a great way to find the top sites in your niche, which are hand curated. And we do the same thing. Put in SEO, click search, and click on the SEO search optimization, search engine optimization area of Alltop. And there's a mixed bag. Some of these sites aren't great, but for the most part, it's the big players in the niche, right? Search Engine Watch, Moz Blog, SEO Book by Aaron Wall, Search Engine Journal, SEO by the Sea, Bruce Clay. I mean, these are the people that if you were in the SEO niche, you'd want to build relationships with, because they're the big influencers on the web. And this is a great way to do it, because on Alltop, they're all in one place. Another way to find influencers is to go to one of the people's Twitter profiles that you found using follower wonk and see who they follow, right? And someone like Rand, he has over 100,000 followers, but he only follows 94 people. So you can imagine he's very picky about who he follows, and these are people that you might not have found using follower wonk, like Epivote is a great SEO that I know, and he wouldn't show up in follower wonk, okay? But I found him, and he's someone that would be great to build a relationship with if you're in the SEO niche, and all these people that you may not have heard of. Obviously, Bill Gates you've heard of, but there are a lot of people in here that you could check out and potentially add to your list, and this is a great way to find people that Rand considers worth following, so they must be influential. Now, once you identified people that you want to build a relationship with, how do you do it? Well, you obviously could just reach out to them and say, hey, can you, publish my guest post? But you want to, ease your way into the relationship, especially with big influencers. And one way to do that that's very straightforward is just to leave a blog comment, a thoughtful blog comment, or several thoughtful blog comments. Because that's a great way to get in a blogger's radar screen if they see the same person contributing value over and over again. So at QuickSprout, this is a post about how he used his advanced guides to generate all sorts of leads and visitors to his site. So, if you're going to leave a comment on this, you want to obviously congratulate the person for the success they've had with the technique, but you can maybe provide an insight that wasn't in the post, like, oh, I tried something similar, and it also helped when I did some email outreach to people, or something like that. And if you can do that several times, when you do finally pitch them or email them, they already know who you are, which will increase your conversion rate considerably. You can also follow them on Twitter, which is kind of obvious, because a lot of times you'd be surprised that when people reach out to someone, an influencer on the web, and they say, I love your stuff, I've been following you forever, they can actually check their followers list and see if that's true. So you definitely want to follow them and maybe retweet a couple of their things, because Twitter is a great place to engage influencers on the web just by simply following them, but also engaging. And here's an example of that. One of the better ways to get on their radar screen, in addition to blog comments, is to respond to questions that are tweets. And in this case, we're talking about Audience Bloom, which is an SEO link building firm, and they ask a lot of questions on their Twitter page, right? Are you integrating each of the 3 pillars of SEO into your marketing campaign? How often do you post to your company blog? And of course, some non-question tweets, but quite a few. And a great way to engage with this person would be to hit reply and put in something that, that you think is valuable. Yes, it has, or no, it hasn't. And it doesn't have to be anything mind-blowing, but it's just a way to get on their radar screen, so then when you do the next step, which is reaching out and emailing, this person doesn't see this as a cold email. You have a place in their mind, okay? And this is how I would reach out to someone. I would just, make sure you stroke their ego a little bit and say that I love your last post. Don't ask for anything in the first email. Just give them a compliment. And a lot of times, even busy people like Neil or Rand Fishkin who I've emailed, they'll reply and say thanks for your message. And later down the road, if you want to contribute some sort of value in exchange for a link, you can do that. And that's what we're going to talk about next. One of the best ways to get your link once you've gotten on these people's radar screens is to contribute value somehow. And one of the easiest ways, straightforward ways, and highest converting ways to do that is to improve older content on their site. Because if you know, at QuickSprout, for example, if you do the site operator QuickSprout here, you can get all of the pages on the site. Okay, so that's the first thing I would do. Once you've emailed that person or gotten on the radar screen somehow, put site : the domain name, and you get all the pages on their site. And as you can see, there's 38,000 pages. So it doesn't make sense to go one by one. So what you do is you click on the Search Tools button, and under any time, click on Custom Range. And that'll bring up a date range. And what you want to do here is choose older posts, right? So 01/01/2008. Let's say 01/01/2011. And that'll bring up all posts that were published between these 2 time periods. And in general, you want to look for older stuff, right? You want to look for older stuff that isn't evergreen. And Neil happens to publish a lot of evergreen stuff like Business Isn't Fun, Don't Give Up, Your Idea Sucks. This isn't really about things that change very much. So what you want to keep an eye out from are subjects that tend to have a lot of changes to them, like SEO, Twitter, social media. And you just, like this, stop using Twitter. Now this would be a good example of one that you could potentially improve upon. So it's a stop using Twitter for fun. And this is all about how to build your business with Twitter. Now, probably a lot of this is evergreen content, but for example, this Twitter feed and TwitThis, these particular services may not be functioning anymore, or there might be a better one out there, right? Like Twitter feed, Buffer is a great option to schedule tweets. So you might be able to email him and suggest some improvements. So what you do is you don't ask for a link or recommend your link. You just recommend some sort of improvement on their site. And that's a great way to get on their good side. So then later down the road, if you want to do a guest post or an interview or something like that, you've already contributed value. So the first point of contact should either be a friendly email like this or an email offering some easy improvements that they can incorporate into their site that doesn't involve your site. And finally, I'll show you another example of how to execute this. This is from smartpassiveincome.com, which is Pat Flint's excellent internet marketing blog. And he has this post called the backlinking strategy that works, right? And it's just his particular strategy that worked for his niche site, and it's very detailed, and it's a very, very popular post. Now, another blogger who is very smart messaged him and said, hey, Pat, I have this Excel file that helps you keep track of your specific strategy. Would you share it with everyone? And of course they do. So this is a way that this person improved upon content that already existed, and he got a nice link back to your site. So it's all about first identifying your influencers in your niche, and then building soft, sort of easy relationships without pitching, and then finally contributing value. And if you contribute value enough times, or you do it in such an astounding way like creating an Excel spreadsheet for a strategy that this person's trying to promote, and it makes it easier for their followers to use, you will get links. So, there's a lot of talk about relationship building, and it's kind of esoteric, vague advice. So I hope this is helpful in showing you how specifically you can turn these relationships into real, living, breathing links, right? Because that's ultimately our goal. So thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.